take a moment in your own body and kind of feel into the way that your spine can move back in space. And let's explore for ourselves the posterior spine, or the back part of the spine, the spinous processes, this ridge-like shape, the bumpy parts of the spine. You might feel a little bit of flexion in your body. Feel this shape, this primary curve. And then we have what are called the secondary curves. And these are the concave curves. So these are the curves that move forward. They move towards the anterior of your body, and they balance out your primary curves. And these curves include your lumbar curve, so your low back. And take a moment and try and feel from the top of your hip crest to your lower ribs, from the top of your hip crest to your lower ribs, the length of your lumbar spine, okay? And the length of your lumbar spine can sometimes feel surprising, because it's, some people might be surprised that it's so long or so short. Okay, so see if you can feel this curve in your low back that moves forward. Okay, and then we have a secondary curve at the cervical spine. Okay, so this is where your the curve of your neck comes up. And feel how your face contains your eyes, of course, and your nose and your mouth. And there's quite a biological imperative to be able to look up. Yeah, it's important that we can look up and that we can look around over our shoulders, that the neck can be mobile. So then take a moment, and you might place one hand at your lumbar curve and one hand at your cervical curve. Okay. And notice how the secondary curves of the spine can support each other to open the front body, to arc and to look up. And then feel how the primary curves support this internal movement, this coming towards our belly or towards our center, opening the back of the body. And the secondary curves open the front of the body. Okay, so think about these curves as we go through our movement practice. And before we start our movement practice, I do really want to say that because we're going to be working a lot with the spine today, and Leo rules the spine, it's important to remember that our spinal columns are not straight. And so later, when we're thinking about alignment and our central column, we're not looking for a rigid axis that is straight. It's really important that we remember that our spine has curves. And the curves of our spine allow our spine to be mobile. They allow it to be dynamic, and they allow it to be strong and balanced. Oh, I do want to say one more thing. Okay, so we were just thinking about the back of the spine. Can you see where my hand is at the front of the skeleton spine here? Okay. So the front of your spine, show you, the front of your spine is a solid 3 inches or so from the back of your spine. And if you bring your hand to your lumbar spine right now, one hand to your lumbar spine and then one hand to your belly button, the front of your spine is pretty much halfway between your 2 hands right now. Okay. And the front of your spine travels through the central portion of the body. Yeah, so if you feel at your neck, same thing, the front of your spine is pretty much halfway between your 2 hands. And sometimes that can be surprising because a lot of us think of our spines as being part of the back body, but the front of the spine is very much a part of the central body. Okay, and the front of the spine is the weight-bearing part of the spine. Okay, so this is where the force of the spine comes through. The spinal column, the spinal cord, I should say, the spinal cord runs between the front and the back of the spine. And this is part of Leo's rulership and part of the dynamic between Leo and Aquarius, as they both relate to the nervous system and circulation. Okay, so now that we have that anatomy, let's play with some movement. Let's come to lie down on our backs. And you're welcome to lie with knees bent. That's a little bit easier for a lot of folks on the low back. You can also straighten your legs out. And let's take a moment here as we breathe to breathe into the primary curves. So feel the spaces in your back body that are in contact with the ground, like the weight of the sacrum, the thoracic curve, and your skull. Take a few exhales and relax those parts towards the ground. And the next couple of breaths, bring your attention into your secondary curves, into the places where your low back and your neck move away from the ground. Relaxing and expanding into levity and gravity. And then roll over onto one side and use your bottom arm underneath your head. And with your bottom hand, hold the top of your spine. So again, the top of your spine is the base of your skull, about the height of your nose. And there's a soft notch at the base of your skull that can feel pretty good to have a little bit of a massage. So you might get your finger pads up in there. And then take your other hand and find your tail. And some of us need to get the fingertips between your cheeks to find your tail. And your tail is not your sacrum, right? It's the tailbone, the end of your spine, the tip of your spine. Take a couple of breaths here, and as you inhale, breathe into the top and the bottom of your spine. And as you exhale, feel their connection. So as you inhale, breathe into the length of your spine. And as you exhale, feel their connection. Right? And then continue to roll over onto your front. And we'll use our hands now to push up onto all fours, onto hands and knees. And if it's too much on your wrist to have your wrist down on the ground, feel free to come onto your forearms. That's fine as well. And let's just start to sway the spine a little bit. And you can move intuitively, but what I'd like you to do is try and move from the top and the bottom of your spine. So you might reach from the top of the spine, let it move through to the bottom, reach through the bottom of the spine, let it move through to the top. And any kinds of practice movements you might do here, like cat and cow, if you've done that movement a lot, get really curious about the top and the bottom of the spine, how they're talking to each other, how they connect. And you can move in whatever ways feel good. But I want to invite here a vision of like sea kelp or a ribbon floating in the breeze. And we want to just kind of get curious about how could the spine move if we weren't telling it what to do, but it was feeling its own fluidity. And as the top and the bottom of the spine reach or move into space, start to exaggerate other parts of the spine, your mid back, your low back. Don't lose the connection between the front, the top and the bottom. But get curious about the in-between. And then let's pick up the pace of our movements. And again, there's no prescription on the movement. You can move however you want. But let's make it a little bit faster, a little bit more warming in the body. Maybe a little bit more excited. And let's bring our attention now to the front of the spine. Encouraging wave-like movements in the front of the spine. Warming it up. Whew. So we're going to come to stand, and I want to invite folks to really take care of their bodies. So if you need support of pulling onto a chair, something like that, please do what you need to do. But before we come to stand, let's make the intention that we're going to come to stand by reaching our tailbones down. Okay, so in some way that makes sense to you, bring your feet underneath you, so your feet are on the ground. And then to come to stand, reach down with your tailbone to come up with your spine. And you might want to try that a couple of times, yeah? Because it can be a new sensation for some of us. So you might move between a squat and standing a couple of times by reaching down through the base of your spine to stand up. Letting your tailbone extend like a tail into the ground. Good. And then once you've stand up, once you've found your way to stand, take a moment in standing. And again, let's tune in. Let's see, Let's tune in with the head, the heart or the thoracic curve, and the pelvis. Okay, and can you feel in your body here that your head and your heart and your thoracic curve are in relationship to each other? They're in relationship to each other. What is their relationship? Noticing how it feels to move your head forwards or back, maybe to the right or to the left, noticing how it moves your thoracic spine, your heart, your pelvis. Let's use our hands and find the top of the spine. So again, the soft notch at the base of your skull, about the height of your nose. And with your hands to help you find the top of the spine, feel the movement of your head. And then from the top of your spine, take a little bit of a twist. So you send your eyes all the way back over one side and let your whole spine follow and twist. And then send your eyes all the way over to the other side, but start your rotation from the top of your spine. Once more in each direction. Breathing is always helpful. Deep breaths, sounds out on your exhales. From the top of the spine, let's explore a lateral flexion. And so you might start to take the top of your spine over to the left or to the right, and let your whole spine follow. Okay, only as far as you feel comfortable and supported. And then the top of the spine starts to reach up and over to the other side. Going once or twice more in both directions. Reaching from the top of the spine to the left and to the right. Now from the top of the spine, let's explore moving into a forward fold. And here I want to invite us to take a roll down with the spine. And so when you start to come down, first let your head drop. And then slowly just explore rolling down through your spinal column. And I definitely need to bend my knees here for support. And I'm going to roll all the way down, letting the weight of my head take me down. And then when I come up, I'm going to come up from the top of my spine. I'm going to look up and let my spine lift up. So again, please take care of your body. If anything hurts, back off. But if you're okay to continue, let's try it again. So just rolling down from the top of your spine, get curious about how you can stay following the length of your spine, encouraging parts that might want to go faster to move in sequence. I'm going to roll all the way down. And then we're going to come back up by reaching with the top of the spine. Let's do one more time. Letting your breath support you. Relaxing through your head. And then opening your eyes, reaching through the top of the spine to come up. Great. Bring your hands to your ribs. Feel your thoracic spine. Okay, the part of your spine that connects to the rib basket and that holds your heart area. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. Okay, let's go into lateral flexion from here. So push your ribs one way, and then take a side bend, initiating from your ribs. Okay, and the top and the bottom of your spine will follow here. And then push your ribs over to the other direction and side bend. Okay, breathing into any sensation, constriction. Let's rotate, twisting from our ribs. So you might take your hands to the front and the back. And twist. Full breaths in. I'm getting a lot of little snaps and cracks. And then from this middle part of the spine, from your thoracic curve, let's explore flexion and extension. Okay, so we're going to start to take the heart back in space. And from here, we'll curve forward. And then to come up, let's reach the heart forward and up. So we come into a lifting arc. And if it feels better for you to keep this movement small, you don't need to go all the way down. You can definitely play with flexion and extension in a smaller range. And then for the next couple of minutes, let's take about 4 minutes and let's play with moving the spine in all directions. So we're going to go to the sides, forward and back, and twisting, linking up these 3 spots, the tail, the heart, and the head, or pelvis, heart, and head. And as you play, the invitation, right, is to let your spine move. So I know my camera is getting the light here. It's part of, this is a Leo symbol of the light and the shadow. But let's just follow the spine and see where it wants to go if we're just letting the spine move. Okay, and we're looking for the relationships between the base of the spine, the tail, and the top of the spine at the head, the right and the left sides of the spine. Getting really curious about the front of the spine as you move. And here there's no choreography. There's no right way to move. We're looking for how does the spine want to move when it's expressing itself. When it's feeling itself. And your arms and your legs and the rest of your body, of course, can be part of your movement. but the spine starts it. Lots of breath support. We might need to get really quiet to actually hear the spine and what it wants. And the spine might be very loud and dynamic, okay? But you're looking for the truth of your own spine. How does it want to move? How does it want to experience your attention right now? Take about 10 seconds to make your movement smaller. And finding a point of a little bit of stillness, a little bit of quiet. You can stay in movement, you can stay connected to your spine. But now let's bring a lot of attention into the quietude of the spine, into the clarity of its own axis, all of its curves, its twists, its shapes, its spirals. Again, calling on the power of our imaginations now to really come into relationship with the front of the spine. Through the center of the throat. The front of the spine touches the back of the heart, runs through the center of the belly. Bringing your attention into the quietude at the front of the spine. We're going to offer a question to our spines. And the question is, what does your spine want you to know? And you might center this question more specifically around some issue in your life right now, a relationship, a personal need. Or it may just be a general question. What does your spine want you to know? I'm going to bring this question into meditation for a couple of minutes. And hold the question in your spine and in the front of your spine. And listen for what your spine wants to offer. And it might offer through sensation or lack of sensation, through image, through emotion, through movement. What does your spine want you to know? Spaces in the spine that feel constricted or painful often have important messages. What does your spine want you to know? Take a couple of moments and write down any answers that you got. They might not be complete answers. They might just be images or ideas, some keywords. Take about a minute and a half just to write down any answers your spine gave you.